You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hello and welcome to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, a special edition stories of hope, inspiration, and overcoming adversity. I am your host and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. I am a certified life and career coach. And with us today, all the way from Canada, is my special guest, Trish Robichaud. Trish, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks so much, Dr. Jacalyn. It's wonderful to be here.
I'm so glad that we connected, and we actually met through Lunch Club, right?
We did. You were my first Lunch Club date.
I love it.
And our relationship has exploded so fast that I haven't dared book another Lunch Club date.
I love it. That's great, Trish.
Yeah.
Trish, can you share a little bit about what you do at Changing Paces?
Sure. Primarily, I work with entrepreneurs with disabilities. I teach them how to build a stream of income that will keep them afloat when their health is rocking the boat. And I do that through my 5-part WAVES program. We talk about, I'll tell you later what WAVES is all about. I also work with small to medium-sized business owners, helping them to embrace disability inclusion as part of their business model, which actually we have proven statistics that say that you can actually increase your profitability by up to 30% by embracing people with disabilities. Yeah, as customers, employees, vendors. Yeah, it's a proven statistic there's a 4-year study done by Accenture from 2014 to 2018. Results were released 2 and a bit years ago, and really very exciting to see some tangible numbers on the return on investment with for people with disabilities. For employers who embrace people with disabilities. Exciting stuff.
That's really fascinating, Trish. And as I told you when we met, I've never met anyone who does what you do. And it's such a blessing to have someone like you who is out there educating and providing value. So thank you for doing that. Your story,
Love it.
Your personal story is also very interesting. And I'm so grateful that you came here today to share your story to inspire others. So let me know when you feel comfortable and we can start talking about some of the things that have affected you in your life and how you have taken what has been given to you and you have changed it into helping others, for you to get your message out that people can overcome adversity.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me to share. My story starts, I'm going to say, this is now 2021. I'm going to say it is 21 plus 4. No, 21 plus 6, 27 years ago. 27 years ago. One morning, I woke up just within days after my 30th birthday. I woke up with a pain in my left eye, and I didn't have a clue what it was, but it was really bad. And so I went to Emerge, and the doctor in the Emerge, I was lucky enough to get, there was actually an ophthalmologist on call that day. And he looked at me and he said, I'm going to have to refer you to an ophthalmologist. Actually, he said, I apologize. I recall now, he said, you're going to have to come see me in my office. And he told me at the time that he thought it was neurological. And I went home that day thinking, oh, that sounds scary. And then later, they didn't know what it was, still didn't, it moved around. The doctor told me I had optic neuritis, but ultimately I went blind in that eye. Okay. But thankfully it came back, my vision came back. But in the first 8 years after my diagnosis, eventually I got a diagnosis of multiple sclerosis. And that happened on November 4th, 1993. I will remember that date for the rest of my life too. The MS was when you first, and this was in the 90s. And back then, when you got diagnosed with MS, it was done in stages, and so you got a possible MS diagnosis after 2 or more symptoms in different parts of the body, and then you would get a possible MS, a probable MS, and then a definite MS. Okay, over a stage period of time, in stages, and it was very, very difficult because I started with symptoms in May. I wasn't diagnosed until December. And over that period of time at work, my employer didn't believe me. Honestly, at the time, I had real difficulty with the fact that they didn't believe me. I'll tell you in a bit why I later forgave them. But ultimately, I was being harassed, major harassed and discrimination at work. Over that period of time, those 9 months or those 8 months or whatever it was, I had blindness. I was blind in one eye. I lost all feeling in my left side of my body. So I was dragging my foot, and my boss did not believe, my supervisor, she didn't believe me because she felt that if I had been blind, if I was really blind in one eye, I wouldn't be driving. But that was just a reflection of her lack of knowledge about people with disabilities and their abilities in spite of disability. That's just one example. But it was, 3 months after my diagnosis that they mercifully finally let me go. I had to stay there until they let me go because the day after my diagnosis, I got a phone call from my neurologist telling me that he had just received a phone call from my general manager trying to strong-arm information about my prognosis over the phone. Can you imagine, Dr. Jacalyn? Isn't this just, I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. In fact, my neurologist couldn't believe it either. And that was why he had called me right away. And he had said, Trish, it sounds like you're in for some craziness at work, eh? And so that's what happened. Right away, my gut instinct to that phone call was I picked up the phone and I called the Canadian Human Rights Commission.
Good for you. And then what happened?
I filed a complaint against them. And of course, the Human Rights Commission told me that it is unusual to file a complaint against an employer while you're still working there. And I said, and how could that affect me? And they said, well, don't worry. It's illegal for them to turn up the heat on you because of the complaint.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it was illegal. That didn't stop them, though. Mercifully, by February, they let me go early February. And I filed the complaint mid-December, and my diagnosis was November 4th. So it was not very far after. Yeah. And go ahead.
I was going to say, so what happened then? I mean, this is a lot to deal with, isn't it?
The saddest part about the whole thing was that when I look back now and I remember, all I could think about was keep finding a way to keep my job. I didn't even stop to grieve having been diagnosed with MS. That didn't happen until a couple of years later. Yeah. Yeah, it was a nightmare. But the 2 years later, the case was eventually settled in my favor. Yay! Justice prevailed. Yeah, I know it. They made it as hard as possible for me, right to the very end. When they cut the check to me, you're not going to believe this. Okay, Okay, my given name, my birth name, my given name is Patricia, but I've never ever used that name. And my maiden name is Amlin. Okay, in my name, I've been married since the time I had known this employer. What did they do? They made the check payable to Patricia Amlin.
Oh my gosh.
My name is Trish Robichaud. That's my name is Trish Robichaud. So I had to go to the bank with my birth certificate and my marriage certificate so that I could cash this check. So right down to the end, they made it difficult. It was a really horrific period in my life, and I think not necessarily as a result, not entirely as a result, but I'm sure that the stress that I went through there had something to do with the fact that the first 8 years with the MS was one nightmare after another for me. When you have relapsing remitting MS, which means it comes and goes, most people can go years without a relapse. I had 2 to 3 relapses, major relapses per year for 8 years.
Trish, I'm so sorry. Wow, that you had to. It's just horrific. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just thinking,
okay.
for people who are out there, right, and they're going through a struggle. When we internalize things, or we have things that are happening to us that we really don't feel like we have control, it really affects our health, right?
Where else is it going to go? We keep pushing down emotions, right? That eventually they have to manifest somehow. We have no choice in that. That's just human nature. It's the mind-body connection. Don't you agree?
I definitely agree. And I've had ulcerative colitis since 1991 was my diagnosis, and then eczema and psoriasis. And during this pandemic, when I've been away from everything and everyone except for my mom, it's gotten a lot better. So I think there's something to be said about, it's
absolutely.
Stress is a killer. They say that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I want to hear more, because I've heard part of your story, which is really incredible. And also, we'll have to have you come back and bring up your slides, your presentation that you have that is really fantastic. You have so much to offer. And I just want to make sure that by the end of our show, which obviously we're at the beginning of the show, that people get the message of what it is that you do and how you can help them. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll hear more about Trish and your journey, which is really fascinating. So stay with us. We'll be right back on Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. Before we go, Trish, how can people contact you, just in case they're just joining in?
They can go to booktrish.com if they would love to book a chat with me. But if they want to reach me by email, it's just trish@changingpaces.com.
So simple and easy. Trish@changingpaces.com. That's beautiful. All right, stay with us. We'll be right back on Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, live on Business Talk Radio and social media.
Hey everybody, my name is Ralph Graves Jr. I'm the host of the Ralph Graves Jr. Show, and I want to invite you to pick up my book, Unstoppable. I wrote a book called Unstoppable. It's 7 universal laws that will transform how you pursue and achieve success. The one thing that my 20 years of law enforcement has taught me is that no matter who you are, we are all governed by universal laws, like gravity. But in this book, we're going to talk about laws like the law of forgiveness, laws like the law of control, the law of intelligent practice, the law of expectancy. I was able to see how those, no matter what their background was, those who identified and treated these laws with respect, they were able to go on and lead successful lives. So pick up this book, and you can go ahead and pick it up at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, RalphGravesJr.com, where anywhere where fine books are sold. Thank you.
There are 7.7 billion people on Earth today. 40% of these people are under the age of 25. Young adults are the most fertile mission field in the world today. In Scripture, we see Jesus pouring his life into 12 young adults who he equipped to change the world and all of history. Like Jesus, we believe that the best approach to reach the world with the gospel is to invest in young, emerging leaders and equip them to build disciple-making movements. Concentric is the notion of surrounding and sharing a common center. Our center is the model and strategy of Jesus for both leadership development and ministry formation. As a global alliance, we provide equipping in biblical leadership, based on Jesus' example in the New Testament. Jesus modeled for us how to make disciples that reproduce. Focusing on leadership development is key to creating movements that spread the gospel and Jesus' disciple-making strategy to young leaders around the globe. Our Ministry Alliance partners are actively equipping leaders and building movements of multiplication that reproduce the life of Christ. Join us today to equip young leaders with Jesus' strategy that will change cities and nations.
The session that we had with BCAT was really entertaining and enlightening. We were able to put together some very specific steps that we as individuals can take, and it was really fun to all come together and see sort of where we're going as a team and how we can all get there together.
We had a tremendous experience with the BCAT partners. One of the challenges that we have as an organization is to make sure that we have the right people in the right chairs doing the right thing. To do that well, you have to have synergy. You can try to dream up ways to make sure that your group does that, or you can rely on experts. We would recommend BCAT partners to anybody who's looking to take their organization to the next level.
Academy Sedan and Limo is a full-service transportation company serving the Philadelphia metropolitan area with full knowledge of the New York City, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. areas. We pride ourselves on being the most dependable, conscientious company in the industry. Our always on-time service and dependable pricing make us the company to call for any event or occasion. Our vehicles can accommodate any size party for any occasion. Our vehicles range from four-door sedans to SUVs to minivans to limo buses to full-size tour buses and can accommodate groups of 2 to 100. We offer airport shuttle service or over-the-road service without limitation regarding mileage or time, and no drive is too long or too far. So if you find yourself in need of transportation of any type with any vehicle, give us a call at 610-842-4564 and let us show you what a real transportation company can do for you.
Use code ACADEMY2020 to receive 20% off your first 3 rides, including parking and tolls.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Welcome back. We're so happy to have you here today, live on Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, stories of hope, inspiration, and overcoming adversity. We are live on social media. We'd love to hear from you, by the way, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Please put some comments in. I'm sure Trish would love to hear from you too, right, Trish?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we also have a phone number set up for you to call in. That number is 609-961-1699. Trish, before we took the break, you were sharing your story, and for somebody just joining in, can you just give them a quick background and then we'll move on from there?
Sure. I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis on November 4th, 1993. And shortly thereafter, I lost my job as a result of the sick time I had racked up leading up to my diagnosis.
So concise. Thank you, Trish. So we were also talking about how keeping emotions inside can have a major impact on our health. And as we know, people have been inside for a year in some cases. People have lost their businesses. They've lost family members. They've lost their income stream. And so all of that equates to a lot of stress and negative emotion. What did you do with all your stress and your upsetment and your disease to move forward?
That's such a good question, because that's something that all of us have to tackle when we've been pushed out of the workforce by our health or by an employer, or maybe you've had an accident and all of a sudden you find yourself laid up permanently. What I did was I poured my life into volunteering. I took my transferable skills, and I didn't do this intentionally. Well, I guess sort of I did. I did go looking for a support group and I landed at a support group in my local town, and there was a guest speaker there, and he was talking about a carnation campaign fundraising program, and he was trying to encourage our support group to participate in this national campaign. And at the end of the campaign, at the end of his presentation, he said, "Does anybody want to have a look at the binder that I brought with me?" And silly me, I put up my hand. That led to 14 years involved with the MS Society of Canada. That was the beginning. I spearheaded the founding of a local chapter in my area. And as I said, I didn't really do that intentionally. I did go looking for support. But what ended up happening was I just naturally gathered my transferable skills and moved them into organizational development in building this new chapter that I had helped to found. And by the end of my 14 years, I had been chair for 5 years, I guess. But I had also been providing administrative support to the funding program for the local clients with MS. So the MS Society trained me in support counseling, social action, self-advocacy, organizational development, volunteer recruitment. I can go on and on. So I used those skills eventually to start my business. Now, I recapped that I had had 8 years of being really, really sick. Well, about 2001, around there, I started taking an injectable drug for the MS. And that was an empowering decision all on its own, because when you have MS, no, actually give you a perspective here. When you have diabetes, they say, here's the insulin, go home and take it. You don't have a choice. But when you have MS, they say, here are all the drugs that are possible for you, and they're all injectable. Which one do you want? Okay, this is a very overwhelming decision. So
Wow.
when I finally made that decision, and I went on the drug, and within a month after I was on the drug, my energy had gone through the roof. Now, this drug was only supposed to improve my quality of life and reduce my symptoms by 30%. That's it. It's supposed to reduce my symptoms by 30%. And the drug is still only proven to reduce symptoms by 30%. But I went from 2 to 3 major relapses a year to like no relapses for like 2 or 3 years after that. And you know why? It wasn't just the drug. The drug had empowered me. What I did with that extra energy and that sense of empowerment was I quit smoking.
Yay.
I embraced water as my best friend, my primary drink of choice. I used to be addicted to Diet Coke. Okay. What else did I do back then? I quit smoking, got the water. I started working out for the first time in my life. My weight dropped. And there was a whole bunch of healthy lifestyle choices that I made at the time that even my doctor acknowledged that. And I was thinking it was the Copaxone, or excuse me, the drug, the injectable drug that I was taking. I was thinking it was the injections that were making me feel so much better. But the drug was only supposed to reduce symptoms by 30%. So my neurologist told me, girl, this is you. You've done this, right? Wow. I got to tell you, doc, how empowering that was to actually have a doctor acknowledge that this lifestyle choices that I had made such a big difference. So isn't that amazing?
It's incredible. Congratulations. That's huge.
Yeah, it was amazing. So once I had been in remission for over a year, my longest remission in that 8 years was 3 months. Once I had over a year under my belt with the remission, my husband said, okay, now you can do what you want. I wanted to go back to work, but I knew I couldn't be employed by anybody else again. There was no way I was ever going to feel guilty again for being sick. So I went into a vocational rehab office and I sat down with a career coach and I said, okay, here's my computer skills. Here's my administrative skills. Here's my whatever else skills. I can't even remember what was the third one on. Anyways, accounting. Yeah. And she said, you know what? I'm sorry. I think you need to go home and research life coaching. And I said, what is that? And she said, Trish, I think your people skills are really your biggest asset. Even though I haven't seen the others, but I really think the people skills are where it's at for you. And I didn't have a clue what life coaching was about. And I went home that day, and I still to remember to this day, Dr. Jacalyn, I was sucked into the computer like a vortex because life coaching, the more I read for every website, I went one to the next, to the next, to the next. Oh my God, my head was getting bigger and bigger and bigger and going, people are going to pay me to talk to me on the phone? No way. Oh my goodness. It was amazing. And I realized that coaching was actually something I've been doing all of my life. I'd always been the friend in the group that everybody went to talk to. You can relate, I'm sure, as a coach yourself. Yeah. You know, we're not born to coaching as an adult. We've been doing it our whole lives. Every one of us who are intuitive, you know, authentic, just born like this with these skills. Yeah. We've been doing it our whole lives. Yeah. So, from that point on, after I discovered life coaching, I found a course to take. I got enrolled, got my certificate. About a year later, I hung up my shingle on, just because I'm a bit of a clown, I hung up my shingle on April 1st, 2003. Yeah, so, yeah.
It's a long time. And you're still here helping people with your coaching business. So let that be a lesson for everyone watching or listening. You can leave your corporate job, you can start your own business, and you can be successful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's really exciting, and it's quite an honor to be able to work with people who have the clients that I work with have overcome unbelievable obstacles, you know, unbelievable, discrimination, to being laid up in the hospital for a whole bloody year kind of deal, to like the kind of stories that I encounter in my work are just so inspiring, as you can imagine, I'm sure.
And you know what, I want to ask you something about that. So when I first started officially coaching with Dr. Jacalyn LLC, and I would hear someone's story, I found myself getting very emotionally engaged. Sometimes I would start to cry, and I realized, wait a minute, you have got to get yourself together. You cannot show your emotions, and it's hard to do. So my question for you is, and then we're going to take a quick break, is when you hear these stories and you can imagine, you envision the person lying in a hospital for a year, how do you keep yourself from being emotionally engaged? Or just showing it, I guess.
When I first started, I wasn't very practiced at, a professional face. So over the years, I've definitely gotten better. But you know what? I want to take back the professional face, because my clients aren't there to talk to me because of my professional face. They come to me because I empathize. They come to me because I have the ability to put myself in their shoes. I think over the years, it's not that I feel less. I think I feel deeper, past the pain. I think when I'm with a client now, when I'm with somebody and they're describing how, let's say, for example, I'm talking to somebody from overseas, and they're telling me about some cultural issues that they have to deal with that as a woman put them secondary, and then the experience that they had, let's say, with men in their family, even brothers. I listen. I try not to say anything. I try to just let them talk. I might try to do a or a oh my from time to time. but I just try to meet them right where they're at. And I'm a really big believer in just letting people be heard, okay? Because some of the stories that I hear, they may have never said them out loud before. And so I just try to, and then when they're done, I do this is my virtual Zoom hug, okay? And I don't put my arms down until they do the same, okay? So we do this. So this is my way of letting them know that they've been heard, and that it's okay, and that I've got a safe space for them here.
Oh, that's really beautiful, Trish.
It's so important, you know. Very, very often when I'm working with people with chronic illness, there's serious emotional trauma back there. Honestly, there's a part of me that believes that we develop chronic illness because of emotional trauma that we've pushed down, that we've never addressed, that has never seen the light of day.
I think that's very true and very valid. And on that note, we're going to take a commercial break. Stay with us here, Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, stories of hope, inspiration, and overcoming adversity. We'll be right back.
My name is Zane Carson Carruth, and I'm the author of this book, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever.
Reading is magic. Studies have shown that reading to your children lays the foundation for greater success in life. Reading helps develop language and vocabulary skills. It helps improve memory, and it encourages curiosity and inspires creativity. The benefits are immeasurable, and as a parent, you'll benefit too. In only 10 or 15 minutes a day, you'll be creating more memories and a bonding experience that will last for years to come. So take time to read to your children. Read them books about things that engage and interest them. Tales of fairies and magic fascinate children, and as everyone knows, the Tooth Fairy is at the top of the list. If your child loves magic, wands, adventure, and what child doesn't, you'll love reading them books from the trademarked series, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever. Follow along as Abella, the world's first tooth fairy, accidentally starts the tooth fairy tradition. Learn the tricks of being a professional tooth fairy in the book, Abella Starts a Tooth Fairy School. Your child's imagination will soar as you read the adventures of Abella and her magic wand. These wonderful books are available at worldsfirsttoothfairy.com. and at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.
The world is changing, and your company needs to change with it. Whether it's procurement, employment, marketing, or customer service, it's now more important than ever for your business processes to be inclusive to people with disabilities. Hi, I'm Trish Robichaud with Changing Paces, and I'm here to tell you that making your business processes accessible to people with disabilities is simply good for business. Accessibility and inclusion are the law, but here's what you may not realize. Disability inclusion is an opportunity, not an obstacle. In fact, a recent 4-year study found that companies that fully embrace disability inclusion had a 30% higher profit margin than those that didn't. Your investment in staff disability inclusiveness training can pay off in areas like innovation, brand recognition, as well as customer and employee satisfaction and loyalty, not to mention productivity and profitability. At Changing Paces, we can help you make that happen for your business. Our experts have real-life experience that will help your team gain insight and best practices they won't get anywhere else. This topic is very close to my heart for me, very personal. Dealing with the challenges.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Well, my apologies. I have no idea what happened. The clip just shut off. So,
Well, we'll just have to get you a new copy of that one.
that is so well done, Trish. There's so much important information in there that I think that message needs to get out there. It's a very well produced clip, by the way. Who helped you with that? Did you do that, yourself with somebody?
Jason Reed. Jason Reed. He is an awesome guy. And jasonreed.ca, I believe. Reed as in R-E-I-D. And Jason has 30 years of a TV production background. He's
you
amazing.
Can tell that was terrific. And I loved how confident and how just at ease you were giving all that information. Were you reading a teleprompter or something? Did you have it all memorized?
I was reading the teleprompter, but I've done radio before. So I've had 3 different radio shows online, and I've been a public speaker since I have a picture of me in grade 8. I'm valedictorian at my grade 8 class. I have a picture of me at 8 years old. I'm a narrator at the school play. So it goes back. I come by it honestly. My dad was a bold, well-spoken person as well. Yeah.
Trish, thanks for sharing that with us. When you think back to those times being valedictorian, being on the stage presenting, do you remember or can you think of any signs that you had MS at the time, but you weren't aware of it?
That's a good question. The one thing that has always made me wonder is I have had bladder issues my whole life. As a child, I had a hard time getting home from school, walking home from school without stopping at a neighbor's house to use the bathroom. Yeah. So yeah, go back there. Yeah.
Another question I wanted to ask you was, you shared with us a little bit in the time that we have allotted about what it was like for you to have MS. What was it like for your family, for friends who were close to you, for others who were supporting you?
I did lose a couple friends. It's not unusual when somebody is diagnosed with a chronic condition or a disability to lose friends. A lot of people just don't know how to regard. They don't know how to acknowledge that person. They don't know how to talk to that person. Sometimes people actually step away because they're afraid to offend. So they just completely alienate. But fortunately, that was minimal in my case. I did lose some friends, but it definitely reinforced who my good friends were. And I've seen horrible situations where husband or wife, whichever the healthy partner was, actually leaves. I've seen that. I've actually seen a man who is healthy and wife with MS, a man bringing new girlfriend home while wife is living in the house. Yeah.
Wow.
Nasty. I am very, very fortunate. My husband, when he was, I think he was about 12 or 13, his dad had a major stroke and lived at home for a year before he died. And my husband was the only person in the house he would let look after him. And so my husband actually quit school to look after his dad, at like 12, 13, maybe it was 14 years old. So I am forever grateful to his old man because it made MS not the least bit scary for me. For my husband, I should say. The year I was diagnosed, he proposed to me like 3 or 4 months later.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. We had been living common law for 10 years. And then so we got married on our 10th anniversary.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So we've been together 36 years, married 26 years. And he has always been my caregiver. The only time he's ever had any complaint about it is when he's caregiving for me while I'm caregiving for other people. That's the only time he has a complaint. Yeah.
He sounds like a great guy. You're really blessed.
I am very blessed. Yeah, I live in forgiveness. And honestly, the Lord blessed me with a very optimistic demeanor. I'm an optimist. I call myself a chronic silver lining seeker.
Oh.
Yeah. Because that's just how I have to, that's my modus operandi. That's my MO. That's how I get through life is seeing the upside of things. Honestly, when I'm in the dark place, I call the pit. All right. That's my depression. Yes, I didn't share that I've also been diagnosed with bipolar. Just a quick recap here. Diagnosed with depression in my 20s, diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in my 30s, diagnosed with major heart disease, which required a bypass procedure. I don't know if you see my scar.
Yeah.
And quadruple bypass, as a matter of fact, and then bipolar in my 50s. Okay, so I've racked up a few diagnoses over the years, but the bipolar is the one that is the most fun. The most fun, hands down.
Fun? You're saying fun? F-U-N? Fun?
F-U-N, fun, yeah.
Bipolar
absolutely.
is fun. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, because, I'm about the silver lining, and when I'm in manic mode, I can be a workaholic and forgive myself. And I can just dive right into my work and suck it right up. And when depression happens, I believe that's my body's way of slowing me down, because I can get going pretty quick. I like to ride the wave. I mentioned waves earlier.
Yes.
Yeah, you can ask me about that later. Yeah.
Yes, I will. And I also want to ask you about something called boundaries. And having a silver lining, I can relate to what you just shared. And I'm all about helping other people. And you might get pulled off one project because somebody wants to know this, somebody wants to know that. So how do you keep your boundaries, and what does that look like, Trish?
Well, boundaries are actually they represent the environment and part of the WAVES acronym. All right. And so when I'm talking about environment and then discussing boundaries, it's first of all, it's vital for an entrepreneur with a disability, as well as anyone else, okay, to have boundaries around, let's say I'm working at home. I need to have boundaries with my family around how to recognize when I can't be disturbed and how to recognize when they're free to come in. And it's important for me to have boundaries around how often my daughter comes to visit. My daughter is an awesome sweetheart. She has a developmental disability, and so we have boundaries with her around how often she comes to visit, because she could be here all day, every day if she wanted to. And boundaries around like how far I'll let a client push me in terms of maybe negotiating a price, for example, or how far I'll let a client push me in terms of how much time I let them take up of my day, or whether it's okay to like just pop in on me on a phone call, right? So those kinds of boundaries are really vital, really vital. And the same theory goes, has to grow towards how to regard friends as well as clients and family.
Really good points there that we can all learn from. question I have for you as a coach, because this happens, and it doesn't just have to be coaching, it could be anything where you're hiring someone for a certain amount of time. So you have a coaching session, let's say it's 50 minutes, and you're coming right up to minute 49, and the client is in the midst of something that's really important to them, but you've got somebody else after on the top of the hour. What do you do?
Okay. I am really clear about boundaries, but I'm also flexible. It depends on in that last 10 minutes. I have to decide is the share that they're going to right now, is it something that I can address in 10 minutes? Is it something that I want to ask them to put a pin in? Or is it something that I'm going to let them just go a little bit, and then I'm going to ask them to continue at a later time? I might even ask them if they have more time to talk to me later in the day, because perhaps they've gotten to something that we've been waiting to get to for a long time. So I don't want to let them shut the door for a week. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's important to have boundaries, but I think that flexibility in life is a vital part of our resilience. You know, being able to sway with the wind, you know.
Ebb and flow, right? I totally agree with you. So we have to take another break and hear from our sponsors, but I look forward to hearing more about everything that you've been sharing. We could be here all day just with what you've been through, but we'll take a break and then we'll be right back.
Networking sucks and people suck at it, but nothing gives me more life than walking around and talking to people in an audience and really being able to identify, okay, I see where you're having trouble, let's work on fixing it. How do you help them? How do you provide value? My goal is to give them those tools to be able to go out and tackle that fear. Anywhere there's coffee is where I'll be. So I bring candy a lot to my speaking engagements. Like, of course that makes sense. I'm a little unconventional.
Ashley was very knowledgeable.
Very entertaining.
I learned a few new things, and to me that's the key.
What do you want them to say? How do you want to be perceived? You're going to get the most direct, tactical tips and practical takeaways when it comes to networking. These two here are super important. You'll remember once the conversation starts.
I love the tips that she gave out. I hate networking with a passion, so I feel like I can go to a meeting or event and not feel so uncomfortable.
When you're going to a presentation, you want to be educated. You also want to be entertained.
She was really fun and really personable, and everything she was saying was just very relatable.
She's got a lot of great ideas.
That will make you stand out so fast.
She comes across as someone that likes what they do and just doesn't try to sell you something.
Activity breeds results. If you're not doing anything, you're not going anywhere.
Just made me want to start networking, which I never thought I'd say before.
A networking strategy that works for you.
I tried to ignore it, but my stomach issues were out of control. I couldn't fix them on my own. It was time to do something. A friend said the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation could help me find a specialist. Feels good to finally have a plan. Don't hide your symptoms. Get help at spillyourguts.org today.
listen to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Hi there, and welcome back to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, Stories of Hope, Inspiration, and Overcoming Adversity. And we have Trisha Changing Paces with us, and it's a pleasure to have you all the way from Canada.
All the way from Canada. Yeah, and it's cold up here. But I have to say today is above freezing, so we're celebrating. Yeah.
Okay.
It means spring is coming.
Yay, that's wonderful. So I wanted to remind you to talk to us about waves.
Okay, Waves is my new coaching program. And I truly believe that in life we need to ride the waves. I believe that when we feel good, we should do more. But I don't believe in crashing. Okay, thinking about, we're going to do a surfing analogy here, okay? So imagine being up on that wave, okay? And you know there's that hollow of air underneath it. It's just so cool. Anyways, you're on that and you can see the beach coming, okay? You know you're on a high. You're running on a high. You're on a wave. You're riding the wave. You're getting lots of productivity done. You're meeting people. You're networking. You're having a good time. You're sowing seeds. Things are going well. Okay, enjoy the wave, but plan for the landing on the beach. Don't wait until you get so close to the beach that you have no choice but to crash and tumble, okay? Don't wait, okay? When you're on the high, this is when you plan your landing, okay? Smooth landing up on the beach. And you plan your downtime, all right? So some people will tell you that, you know, if you minimize those waves, then you won't have your crash on the beach. Well, I'm here to say that, damn it, I want the wave. Okay, I want that high. I want to enjoy it. And you know what? I don't have to crash on the beach if I plan it. And that means when I'm having a really busy week, I have a look at my calendar. When I'm feeling super busy, that's when I look at my calendar to see when is my next day off. And if it's not anywhere in sight, I make it in sight. Okay, so the waves, okay, and the waves stand for, the W stands for wellness, okay, and this is all around being an entrepreneur with a disability, okay, so your wellness is primary. The second part is automation. That is about computer automation and automating everything in your life that you can possibly automate, okay, and I will teach you how. The third, the V, is for values, because I cannot tell you how important it is to make sure that the work that we do is in alignment with our values. Because if it's not, either the work will take us down, or it will take us so far off track our values that we will be very, very unhappy in our work. Okay, so making sure values are aligned. All right, the E in waves stands for environment. Okay, that's where the boundaries come in, but it's also about healthy home office. It's also about staffing. It's all about the hours you keep. All right, it's all about environment. And then finally, the S is for success, but it's not about what you think. The S for success stands for how to redefine success. Everybody defines success in terms of monetary value, but it doesn't have to be like that. There are far more rewarding symbols of success than money. Thanks so much, Dr. Jacalyn. I know we're nearing the top.
Yes, and by the way, I put a little banner together: ways, wellness, automation, values, environment, and success.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you. Appreciate
Absolutely. That. So as we come to the top of the hour, Trish, what services do you provide, and how can people get in touch with you?
Okay. My coaching programs are 3 months long, and we work 3 times a month, 3 sessions a month for 45 to 55 minutes. And you can get in touch with me. I would walk you through the WAVES program, all right, as an entrepreneur with a disability. You don't have to be an entrepreneur with a disability. You can be an entrepreneur who is healthy, and I can still work with you because the WAVES are just as appropriate for you, how to ride the waves so you don't get sick. And how to get in touch with me, that would be Trish at Changing Paces. Paces as in steps, because it's about changing your pace. So Trish at changingpaces.com. And if you would know for sure that you want to work with me, because I'm just such a goofball that, you know, it'd be fun, just jump on over to www.book, just like we read a book, book Trish, Trish, booktrish.com. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for being such a great guest and being so transparent and so inspiring.
Thanks so much. It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure.
You're
a joy.
Well, and thank you. And Trish, I really want to close out the show just by talking a little bit about the work that we're doing on our platform called A Better You. So A Better You, for those of you who are not familiar, it's Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents A Better You, lessons from the best coaches, consultants, and trusted advisors. And Trish is a charter member. She's a charter presenter. So that means she is an expert in our minds, in our organization here. And it's a thrill to have you with us, Trish. So I just want to talk to everyone about what A Better You actually means, and just have you give me some insights from your perspective. So we designed this platform for people to be able to speak for a 15-minute presentation, a presentation that's a lesson that by the time we're finished listening to the lesson, we can actually walk away saying, oh, okay, if I want to do this, I need to take these steps. And then what we'll do is we will take that presentation, which is a lesson. We'll ask the presenter to put together a quiz, a 5-question quiz, and then we'll customize the 15 minutes with a customized intro and outro, and we'll put it up on A Better You University, where it will be available for purchase.
Beautiful. I love your vision, Dr. Jacalyn. It's something that's a long time coming. I think there's just so much free video out there, but the problem is there are no lessons. There may be stories. We like stories.
Yes.
But with A Better You, you're getting a story and a lesson. Okay. And the lesson can provide you, and the lessons are vital. They're, like as you said, they're takeaways that we can implement right away. And they're going to be the A Better You lessons. They are going to be perfect just-in-time training for corporations and unions and healthcare professionals and anyone out there that's working with contact with the public. All right. And a situation might arise and they're not sure how to handle it. So, there'll be a quick search function so that they can find exactly the lesson they need.
Thank you for that, Trish. It's, as you know, you work every day to help make people better. And I think as coaches, that's what we have at our core. So it's basically, when we look at A Better You, the program that we've put together, it's what will differentiate what we're doing versus what's already out there. And as you mentioned, there is a lot of free content out there. But what we are doing is with the quiz, this enables people to get more engaged, because they know that if they pass the quiz, then they're going to get a certificate. And if you get so many certificates, you'll be able to exchange them for fabulous prizes. Stay tuned.
Wonderful.
And we're also putting together the A Better You Symposium and Trade Show for fall of 2022. So that's exciting, and we're glad to have you join us, Trish.
And wow, that sounds like fun. I can't wait to find out where we're going.
Woo!
Yeah. It's going to be a blast. Yeah. Look out. Trish takes off the business hat. Whoa, look out. We're in trouble.
We're going to go and have some fun. Remember when it was like that fun?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
Well, thank you, my friend, for being here today. It's time to wrap up the show. And so I will just ask you again to give out your contact information.
Trish at Changing Paces, as in steps, paces, P-A-C-E-S, Trish at changingpaces.com. And if you want to have a chat with me, please, I would look forward to that. No obligation, no commitment, no cost, at www.booktrish.com.
Thank you. Thank you. I will see you backstage in just a moment.
All right. Look forward to it.
And as always, as we close out the show, I just want to thank you for watching. Thank you for listening on Business Talk Radio. We have 3 more shows today. We have our business show, which is at 2 p.m. with my co-host, Al Cini. And we also have at 4 p.m. A Better You. We were just talking about that. Today's presenter is Pat Roquet. And then at 5 o'clock, we have a special edition of the business show, again, with my co-host, Al Cini. So we look forward to seeing you later today. Help us spread the word. Help us get the word out there about a better you so that people can come forward and present their expertise on our platform. We'd really appreciate that. And otherwise, stay well, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.